Police arrest at least 8 activists during a protest rally in Cebu City against the anti-terrorism bill. Police say the activists were arrested at the protest site near the University of the Philippines, Cebu, for violating a ban on mass gatherings under the General Community Quarantine or GCQ. This comes a day after student groups protested at the UP Diliman campus. The rally started peacefully until the protesters were met by Cebu City police in combat gear and members of the SWAT team with long firearms. Bayan Central Visayas confirms the 8 belong to local progressive organizations in Cebu. They also say there were minors among those arrested. Videos show policemen, some in plainclothes, entering the campus and chasing down students. The video also shows campus security guards watching as activists were chased. Under the law, the police and military are barred from entering any of the UP campuses without prior permission from the administration. This comes after the anti-terror bill sparked outrage among human rights groups and concerned citizens who say the law would hand too much power to President Rodrigo Duterte, widely criticized for his human rights record. Outraged by the arrest, Filipinos online call for the protesters' immediate release, noting the double standards when dealing with the likes of quarantine violators like Metro Manila Police Chief Debold Sinas and Senator Coco Pimentel. Kat Melendres tweets, "The police were so quick to arrest those who were peacefully protesting outside UP Cebu, but turned a blind eye on Sinas who violated ECQ guidelines through organizing a birthday party with 50 visitors who were not following proper social distancing protocols." Clarissa tweets, "They were only exercising their right to protest. What the hell happened to the Soto Enrile Accord prohibiting military presence inside UP campuses?" MedTech Speaks also tweets, "What the government should be doing right now? Mass testing, fast action to strengthen their pandemic response. What the government is actually doing? Network shutdown, anti-terrorism bill, warrantless arrest." Meanwhile, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano defends the bill.
Basahin niyo po yung batas. Bawal po na yung mga nagdi-dissent lang o yung mga nag-o-object lang o nagrarally o nagpapahayag lalong sa gobyerno, bawal po na sila ay turingan na terorista.
The anti-terrorism bill would allow warrantless arrests of individuals suspected by the government of being terrorists. It also broadens the definition of terrorism while lessening the restrictions on law enforcement agents who would effect these arrests. President Rodrigo Duterte says he will fire the Health Department staff responsible for the delayed compensation for virus-hit health workers, but again spares Secretary Francisco Duque III. In a recorded address aired Friday, June 5, Duterte says Duque should not be blamed for the delay.
2 buwan itong letseng ito. I mean, can just imagine 2 months. Tapos ang sekretary ng binubugbog araw-araw kasi wala siyang gawa. Sino palang paggawain ni Duque dito?
Under the Bayanihan Act, severely infected health workers should receive 100,000 pesos each, while the families of those who died from the disease should get 1 million pesos. Duque says the 32 families of health workers who died were already identified and will be prioritized for the new deadline.
Kasi nakakahiya talaga, sir. Namatayan na nga, tapos nagpawardi-wardi yung mga tao ko na parang walang sense of urgency, sir. Yun ang talagang sama-sama po ng loob ko, Mr. President.
Duterte also orders Duque to form a new team that would handle the compensation release and set the new deadline to 24 hours. Online, people slammed Duque for pointing fingers at his subordinates. In a tweet, Duque acknowledged the delayed compensation was also his responsibility. Duque tweets, "While I express disappointment towards some members of my team, I acknowledge that this is still my responsibility as SOH." Meanwhile, the latest Social Weather Station survey says 84% or most Filipinos believe strict stay-at-home measures are worth it to protect people and limit the spread of the virus. As of June 1, 32 health workers have died from COVID-19, while 2 others remain severely ill. As of Friday, the Philippines has 20,626 cases of coronavirus infections, with 987 deaths and 4,330 recoveries. Philippine lawmakers aim to pass a massive 1.3 trillion peso economic stimulus package to jolt the economy back to life from the coronavirus pandemic. But state economic planners say the amount is not fundable. Acting Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Chua explains the amount legislators are proposing would require new revenue sources, which are very limited.
Well, we are in discussion with the congressmen that such an amount would not be fundable because any supplemental budget or standby appropriation would require new revenue sources, and that is very limited. And financing or borrowing is not a revenue source.
But Albay Representative Joey Salceda questions Chua's remarks. In a message to Rappler, Salceda says, quote, "Tell that to 8 million families whose jobs were destroyed." Marikina City Representative Stella Kimbo says Congress first needs to see official reports of the government's cash position, especially since new loans have been secured. Meantime, the Philippine Statistics Authority says unemployment soars to 17.7% in April 2022, equivalent to around 7.3 million jobless Filipinos. National statistician Dennis Mapa says this is the highest unemployment rate on record. The Department of Labor and Employment earlier estimated 5 million jobs would be lost due to the pandemic. All regions reported double-digit unemployment rates in April 2020, with the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao suffering the worst at 29.8%. MAPA notes 38.4% of employed workers report they were not working, primarily due to the lockdown. In the United States, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski breaks away from her party. Murkowski describes former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis's criticism of US President Donald Trump as necessary and overdue. Mattis on Wednesday accused Trump of trying to divide Americans and failing to provide mature leadership as the country reels from days of protests. For days, protesters took to the streets in cities across the United States demanding racial justice after the killing of George Floyd. Asked if she would support Trump in November's election, Murkowski says, quote, "I'm struggling with it. I have struggled with it for a long time." Meantime, Trump slams Murkowski on Twitter, saying he would travel to Alaska to campaign against her in 2022 if she runs for re-election then. But Murkowski and another Trump critic, Senator Mitt Romney, appear to be Republican outliers as the rest of the party refuse to embrace the view that Trump is a threat to the US Constitution. Meanwhile, Google says it warned the Biden campaign team about phishing efforts from China and the Trump campaign team from Iran. Facebook cracks down on several posts protesting the anti-terror bill passed in the Philippine Congress. Filipinos online slammed the bill's passing, but not without a few hurdles posed by Facebook's community standards. A number of Filipinos shared a specific link which included information about several movements, including #JunkTerrorBill. Facebook tags the posts as spam, leading many Filipinos to take their complaints to Twitter. Others who posted artwork denouncing the bill also had their Facebook posts tagged as spam. Facebook is notorious for controversies triggered by its moderation policies. Most recently, CEO Mark Zuckerberg defended the company's decision not to interfere with posts by US President Donald Trump, prompting some employees to resign. Meantime, Facebook also starts tagging state-sponsored media organizations so that people will know if, quote, news they read may be under the influence of a government.